diagrams. Phase diagram is a graphical representation of the physical states of substance under different conditions of temperature and pressure. A typical phase diagram has pressure on y-axis and temperature on x-axis. As we cross the lines, the blue lines or the curves on the phase diagram, a phase change occur. For example, if we move from this side to this side at this curved line, the phase change occur. In addition, two states of the substance coexist in equilibrium on the lines or the curves, and these blue solid lines are known as phase boundaries, whereas a point that is a coinciding point of all the lines is known as triple point, where the coexistence of three phases is observed. A typical phase diagram of a substance have three types of phase boundaries, which are represented as phase boundary number 1, 2 and 3. So let's discuss the phase boundary number 1, that is in between the liquid and gas. And if we move from at any point between the liquid and gas phase, so crossing this boundary led to the two processes. If we move from liquid to the gas, the process is known as evaporation, whereas the process when we move from gas to the liquid is known as condensation, and the processes of condensation and evaporation coexist at the phase boundary. And the second phase boundary is the boundary between the solid and liquid, and if we move from the state of solid to the state of liquid, the process is known as melting, and the reverse process is known as freezing. And at the phase boundary, the process of melting and freezing are coexisting or in the process of equilibrium. Now we have the third phase boundary, that is the boundary between the solid and gas phase. Again, if we move from one phase to another, there is a change in the phase when we cross the phase boundary. So for example, if we move from this point where it having a specific value of pressure, and we are increasing the temperature of this substance at this particular pressure, there is a change in the phase at this phase boundary through the process of sublimation, and the reverse process is known as solid deposition. So at this point, the process of sublimation and solid deposition are coexisting in the state of equilibrium. So there are 6 main processes which are undergoing while moving to the different parts of the phase diagram is shown here, known as condensation, evaporation, melting, freezing, sublimation and solid deposition. And two of the process for each phase boundary are in equilibrium with each other at same point, but directions are opposite at same temperature and pressure at any point of the phase boundary, depending on the direction from where we are moving to the other phase across the phase diagram. Now let's keep the pressure of the substance at constant value, and while moving from solid to liquid, we need to increase the temperature of the system. So when the temperature is increased from lower to higher temperature, there is a phase boundary that is in between the solid and liquid. At this boundary, the solid undergoes melting, And then by further increasing the temperature of the substance, the liquid phase persists for a while until a temperature is reached that is the point between the liquid and gas phase boundary. So this point is known as evaporation. So at this point the liquid and gas phase are equilibrium, and after that point the substance exists in a state of gas. So at this particular pressure that is higher than the P1, so at higher pressure there is a phase change while keeping this pressure constant and changing the temperature of the substance. So we can see that we are moving from solid to liquid and gas phase at this temperature, at this pressure. Whereas at pressure P1, if we increase the temperature of the substance, we can only have two phases, that is solid and gas. So at this pressure the processes are only sublimation and solid deposition. So there isn't any liquid phase that require higher pressure. It is because that while increasing the temperature of the system, when the pressure is fixed, the molecules or the particles of the substance undergo increase in kinetic energy, and they undergo a process of changing their intermolecular forces, intermolecular distances, and many other properties that change them from one phase to another phase at higher pressure that is sufficient for it to cross a liquid phase. And for the three phases the entropy is different. The entropy of gas is highest, that is intermediate for the liquid phase, and lowest for the solid phase. Now let's discuss the different phase diagram that are for water, and the other one is for common liquids. For the case of water, the liquid phase of water is denser than the solid phase. That's anomalous behavior is due to the hydrogen bonding. So here we have two phase diagrams for water and common liquids, and here we can see that the denser liquid phase as compared to the solid phase is showing different phase boundary as compared to the solid liquid phase boundary that is observed for the UL or common liquids. So let's see this phase boundary at two temperatures, that is the T1 and T2. So by increasing the temperature from so here I have drawn the three temperatures T1, T2 and T3, and at a particular pressure, when we are moving from temperature T1 to T3, we are moving from liquid to solid phase. Whereas let's select the temperature T3. At this temperature, by increasing the pressure, we can move from solid to liquid phase. Whereas for a particular example of phase diagram that is applicable to all common liquids, when we are moving from lower temperature to higher temperature at constant pressure, we are moving from solid to liquid phase. But in this case we are moving from higher to lower phase temperature for the conversion of the liquid state to the solid state. So here the process is inverse for the case of water, and if we take the slope of solid liquid phase boundary, the slope is negative. but for the case of common liquids, the slope is positive. Now let's discuss the thermodynamic treatment of the phase boundary. So the Clausius-Clapeyron equation is used for the determination of the Gibbs free energy change. So that is given as equal to V delta B minus S delta T. So let's see how it is derived. The Gibbs free energy is actually given as Gibbs free energy equation, that is equation number 1. That is expressed in terms of enthalpy of the system and the term Ts, where T is the temperature and S is the entropy of the system. Whereas the enthalpy of the system is expressed in terms of the internal energy of the system and the pressure volume work. So let's compute the Gibbs free energy change and Helmholtz free energy change, and then we can compare the Gibbs free energy change and Helmholtz energy change to get the equation. That is, Gibbs free energy change is internal energy change that is coming from here, that was obtained by putting the value of Gibbs free energy change, that is expressed in terms of the enthalpy and the factor T into S. So here change in the enthalpy is equal to the change in internal energy and pressure volume work, and differential of this term. So we get two terms. At one time we are differentiating with respect to entropy, and at the other time we are differentiating with respect to temperature while keeping the entropy at constant value. So overall the Gibbs free energy change have the different terms, in which this term, the change in internal energy and the pressure volume work, in which we are differentiating the volume while keeping the pressure constant, this term is actually equal to amount of heat energy change, that is equal to the term that is T del S. So the term T del S is actually coming from the entropy term, that is the change in heat content of the system at constant temperature, and this heat content is expressed in terms of internal energy change and pressure volume work. So in this way we get the equation, that is the Gibbs free energy change is expressed in terms of the V delta B and S delta T. So here we have two parameters, that is known as pressure and temperature, which are variable for the variable change of Gibbs free energy. So for example, if we keep the pressure of the substance at constant value, then the Gibbs free energy change will be equal to the term minus S delta T, or we can say that the change of Gibbs free energy with respect to temperature at constant pressure is equal to the minus or the negative of the entropy of substance. So it means that the value of the Gibbs free energy change is negative because entropy is usually positive. So process is spontaneous, that is the change in the phase of the substance, that can be from either liquid to solid or liquid to gas. Now if we keep the temperature of the substance at constant value, then the Gibbs free energy change with respect to pressure will be equal to the factor V delta V. And in this way we can say that the Gibbs free energy change with respect to the pressure at constant temperature is equal to its volume. So this equation, known as Clausius-Clapeyron equation, is applicable for the liquid and gas phase. For the liquid phase, we can write the volume of the liquid as VL and the entropy of the liquid as SL, because the volume and entropy of the liquid is different from the volume and entropy of the gas phase of the same substance. So for a phase boundary, we said that the two phases are in equilibrium with each other. For example, the liquid phase is in equilibrium with the gas phase. Then at a particular phase boundary, while moving through or across this line that is known as the phase boundary, at this phase boundary, as the two phases are in equilibrium, that means that the Gibbs free energy change is equal for the liquid and gas phase. So at the phase boundary, we can say that the Gibbs free energy change for the liquid and Gibbs free energy change for the gas phase are equal or in equilibrium, so the value are comparable. So by comparing the values of Gibbs free energy for the liquid and Gibbs free energy for the gas phase, we get the equation which can be rearranged to get the common factors that are change in pressure and change in temperature. So here we have a volume of liquid that is subtracted by volume of gas, and entropy of liquid that is subtracted by entropy of gas. If we inverse the process, for example, for the conversion of liquid to gas phase, because the first value is usually the final value, so here is the final is gas phase and the initial is liquid phase, and for this kind of change, the final phase is liquid and initial phase is gas. So in this way we can write the change in pressure with respect to change in temperature, that is a slope of a phase boundary. So the slope of the phase boundary, that is rate of change of pressure with respect to the change of temperature, is actually the change in entropy with respect to change in volume. So here the rate of change of pressure with respect to temperature on equilibrium, that is a point on a phase boundary. So for solid to liquid, that was the original equation there, but here we have derived from liquid to gas or gas to liquid, that is in equilibrium. So let's discuss various circumstances of the variation of the entropy and volume of the substance at liquid or solid phase may lead to the positive or negative slopes. So for example, if the entropy change is positive, it means we are moving from gas to liquid phase. The change in volume is also positive. It means that the volume of the substance is increased. That means we are moving from liquid to gas phase, and here we are also moving from liquid to gas phase. It means the entropy of the gas is higher than the entropy of the liquid phase. So the change in entropy with respect to change in volume is positive slope, whereas when we are changing the state of the substance from gas to liquid, the entropy is decreasing and as well as the volume is decreasing, but for the same case the slope is positive. As the conversion from liquid to gas and gas to liquid are in equilibrium, for both cases the slope is positive. So the case we have discussed is actually for the component of phase diagram that is applicable for the substances other than water. As the liquid changes to gas, entropy increases. It means the entropy of the liquid is low, and for the gas the entropy is high. The change in entropy is positive, whereas the entropy for the liquid is low, and as well as the volume is also a shrink form, or the lower volume is observed for the liquid as compared to the gas. So again the change in volume is positive. But for the case of water, when we are moving from the liquid to the solid, the entropy change is negative and volume change is positive, and thus the slope is negative for the case of water when we are discussing about the change in liquid to the solid, or that is the phase boundary. When both are in equilibrium, at that phase boundary the slope is negative. The reason of this negative slope is that for the liquid to the solid conversion, the volume increases due to rearrangement of hydrogen bonding. Now let's reconsider the phase diagram for the case of water and common liquids. For the case of water, the triple point is at higher temperature as compared to any of the freezing point at different pressures. So this phase boundary that is showing the freezing point or the melting point is at lower temperatures as compared to the triplet point, whereas for the case of the common liquids, the triplet point is at lower temperature as compared to the any of the freezing point across the phase boundary between the solid and liquid phase. So showing the freezing points at different pressures are at higher temperature as compared to the triplet point. So let's discuss about the degree of freedom, that is the number of independent variables is actually given by the formula given here. Here C is the number of components and P is the number of phases. So let's check out for the for one component where the variable phases are 2. For that kind of system, the degree of freedom is 1. As the number of component is 1, number of phases are 2, and this 2 is from the formula, so overall degree of freedom is 1. Whereas for the case of the system having one phase, and we are not going to show the number of phases, so at the boundary the degree of freedom is equal to 2 at boundary lines. So using this formula we can calculate the degree of freedom for the range of states in which a system may exist. So that the degree of freedom describes the number of independent states for a particular component or combination of components that is in a form of solution. So now let's check out the cooling curve. When a gas is cooled down, the average kinetic energy decreases. That means the motion of the molecules slow down. So let's move from the gas phase. When we are moving through the cooling process at a point, the substance is in gas phase, so it requires some relaxation time to reach a point, that is point B, which is showing the process of condensation. Then from the liquid state to the solid state, there is a sharp decrease in temperature, while the temperature is held on moving from one phase to another phase, that is the phase boundary. So this one horizontal line is showing the phase boundary between gas and liquid, and this one is showing phase boundary between liquid and solid. Now let's check out the phase diagrams of the two solids. Here we have solid 1 and A and solid B, and the composition of the solid B is increased while moving from this away from A, and composition of the A is increased while moving away from the B across this horizontal lines. And whereas the region is known as one phase region, where the two compositions exist in solid phase. So the closed representation of the two boundaries, so this region is the highlighted region, is showing the two phase system in which solid and liquid of different compositions of the two components coexist with each other, and the phase that is across from this line is known as again one phase, that is the liquid phase. So the phase boundary that is in between the solid and the immiscible phase is known as solidus phase, and this one is the liquidus phase. And this kind of phase diagram is usually observed for the similar kind of two liquids or solids that have similar properties but different melting points. So here the melting point of A, when the composition of A is 100%, and this one is the melting point of component B, where the composition is 100% for B. Now let's check out the phase diagram for the two liquids showing a minima, that is the eutectic point. It's a point where both solid can melt, that is solid A and B, and it's our lowest point in the phase diagram, showing the melting and freezing of the two components at same point. So this region is the solid phase and one phase. It means that the both solids of different compositions of A and B are miscible solids, and in these two regions there are two phases, or we can say that we have liquid and solid phases, and above this shaded area is the miscible liquid form, where the composition of A and B is varied, showing the similar liquid phase. So here we can see that this point is the melting or freezing point of component A, and this one is the melting or freezing point of component B. And when the composition of the component A is increased, the melting point of B is decreased to a minimum value, that is the eutectic point. When the minima of the melting or freezing point of the A is decreased through addition of or increasing the amount of B and coming to the same point. So the lower phase boundaries are known as solidus phase boundary, and the upper phase boundaries are known as liquidus. So here two phases, the solid and liquid, are immiscible. Similar to above diagram, when we move from point L, M and N, we are moving from miscible, liquid phase, immiscible, solid and liquid phase, and we are crossing the phase boundary, that is the solidus phase boundary, that is in between the miscible solid, immiscible solid and liquid phase. So these both diagrams are similar, but the difference is the presence of eutectic point, that is due to the difference in the properties of two types of components that are mixed together, making miscible solutions in solid and liquid phase, but immiscible at liquid and solid phase, but showing a common point at which mixture freezes and melts at same temperature. Let's check out another phase diagram in which we have the composition of the two components and the temperature is varied over the scale of y-axis. So here we have a region where the specific compositions of the two components have immiscible phase, but overall it's miscible, where the only liquid phase exists. So this boundary is known as lower critical temperature, and this boundary is known as upper critical temperature boundary. So this diagram is showing a phase diagram for liquid mixture only. So here we have the region where the two components are immiscible, and all other regions the two components are miscible. Now let's check out the phase diagram of the sodium fluoride and lead fluoride. This region is showing the immiscible solid phases, whereas previous diagram was showing the miscible solid phases when the two components are miscible in solid phase. In this case, the solid phases are immiscible at any range of the liquid, but they are showing a eutectic point at which the melting of the two components in the solid and freezing are at same point, that is the eutectic point for this phase diagram, and all other information are similar as explained for the diagram that was for miscible liquids and showing a eutectic point with miscible solids. So here we have a difference is the presence of immiscible solid phase. So this one is the two phase region. Again, these are also two phase regions, and this one is one phase region. And if we move from the melting point of the pure lead fluoride, which is being lowered with addition of sodium fluoride and reaching to a minimum point, that is the eutectic point, that was also obtained from the decrease in the melting point or actually the depression in freezing point due to the addition of lead fluoride within the lattice of sodium fluoride. So the increasing lead fluoride concentration is depressing the freezing point of sodium fluoride to a minimum point that is coexisting with the freezing point of the other. So both solids have same freezing point at eutectic. The solidus curve that is represented as the dotted line is usually observed for the miscible solid phases, but it is absent for the case of the immiscible solid phases. So here we have a straight solidus curve that is in between the solid and liquid plus solid phase. So this point is the lowest temperature at which the liquids can exist. So the liquidus curve is the curve at which the crystals can exist at highest temperatures. At this point the solid is pure sodium fluoride. While moving from this point towards this curve, liquid has increasing lead fluoride fraction, and while moving across this red line from this phase boundary, the liquid lead fluoride begins to freeze and precipitates are observed at this phase boundary. So here a diagram has been explained for the two components where their solid phases are immiscible, while the liquids are miscible with coexistence of two phase systems, that is the solid and liquid phases.